In today's Schrade Saturday video, we're going to take a look at a folding knife, the SCH510 clip point Surelock folder. That's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining me. So the folks at Schrade/BTI Tools, or whatever you want to call them, Smith & Wesson, were kind enough to send me, along with a lot of other knives to be honest with you, one of their SCH510 Surelock folding knives. This is the clip point version now. We actually looked at one of these Surelock knives when they first came out. It's got a very unique different lock system on it, which is extremely strong. I did what I consider an sort of extreme test on the first one, where I took a 4x4 it was on an old play set, drilled a slot in it, poked the blade all the way in where I could stand on it. We're gonna duplicate that test with this one in just a minute, but before we do that, let me go over a couple of things about this knife that I think are cool and interesting. And you notice, by the way, that it's pretty easy to open up. I'll try to stop doing that. I know I tend to do that and wiggle around and move around and wave around and all that stuff. So I'm going to try to be a kinder, gentler Brian on this video and be a little more professional and stop doing all this moving, wobbling, waving around, and maybe talk a little slower, because I've had several complaints about both of those idiosyncrasies. So therefore, let's talk about the specs of this thing real quick. First of all, and hopefully you can, let me see if it'll focus in on that. You can see that grind there. You can see from the flat portion here down to the bevel that this is not a hollow grind. This knife is a saber grind. That's all I'm going to say. So my thermocell back here apparently is not cutting the mustard, because the mosquitoes are still attacking me. So if you see one on my forehead here, let me know, as always. But I actually have the specs here on my handy dandy little iPhone, so let me just read them to you, and then we'll get to doing some knife stuff. First of all, this knife features a 3.47 inch or 8.81 centimeter clip point blade of black coated AUS-8 high carbon stainless steel, and then it features a 4.93 inch or 12.52 centimeter aluminum and TPR handle. It's got these little TPR inserts right here on the handle. It is overall length open is 8.43 inches or 21.41 centimeters, and the knife weighs 7 ounces or 200 grams. The knife features a right hand carry, non-reversible, tip up carry pocket clip, and Schrade's proprietary Surelock system. And basically it's got a little lever here that activates the lock, and you can see when it does that, if you look at the back of it, you see what it does. It just pulls the back strap up just a little bit and disengages it. So it's kind of like a back lock in the way it functions, maybe. I don't know. I'm not taking this thing apart. What I do like about it is, not only does it have the ambidextrous thumb studs, so you can like click it up like that, but if you just use this little lever on the side and activate it like so, you can see it just releases all the friction on the blade, and you can just open it with one hand really easily. Just basically activate the little lever with your thumb and flick it open, and you don't have to flick hard at all. It's just really, really simple. And I like to be able to open my knife with one hand. It also has a lanyard hole here. I never use a lanyard hole on a knife like this, but it's got one if you like that, and a kind of an exposed tang pommel. You could use it for that. And it's got this kind of almost like a nail nick cut out here. Really don't know. I guess you can use that with your nail too if you want to. So a couple different options for deploying the blade here. But I got to say, overall, just my general impression of this knife is it feels really good in my hand. The pocket clip is pretty low profile, so it doesn't really interfere or bother me. But what impresses me about this knife, as much as anything, is just the action. It is extremely slick and extremely solid, and it's just smooth like butter. So what I thought we'd do, we'll take you down to the old stump top down here for a minute, do a little bit of knife stuff, and then we'll go over to the old abandoned play set and do a lock test and just see if this thing will hold my weight up. And we'll wrap this thing up. Okay, so here we are with the SCH510 and several pieces of wood. Now, I would not normally baton with a folding knife at all, but this does have a really strong lock, and the first one that came out, they actually had somebody do this right here with it on something, and the lock failed. So they actually re-engineered it and redid it and sent me the improved one, and I beat the heck out of it, and it didn't fail. So, but what I thought we'd do is go ahead and do, this is pretty, less than 4-inch blade, somewhere in there like that. We'll go ahead and do just a little bit of light batoning with it. I mean, it's a folding knife, so it's not recommended, but we're going to do it anyway, just because I want to show you. Okay, that wasn't very stressful, to be honest with you, but do that. Maybe just take this, I got a piece of oak here, so I'm going to back you up just a hair, let you see the top of it, and we'll work your way down. But to make sure I'm not doing anything funky here, no tricks, but we'll just let me just tilt you down the rest of the way. Okay, so still very solid, so we're going to call that one good. I mean, that's definitely extreme and borderline abuse for a folding knife, but I just want to show you because of the recent drama concerning Schrade. I just thought I would go ahead and go a little above and beyond on this. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. I've already said more than I intended to. So we got a little piece of poplar here, so we're going to go ahead and just carve some feathers, because this saber grind works really well. Look, I mean, just look at the absolute little bitty tiny little curly feathers this thing's carving. It's got a seriously good edge on it. Wow, I'm really impressed with this edge. It just cuts like butter. It's really smooth. Okay, let me just get you a little close up on those there. Pretty nice. So we're going to cut those off out of the way. You know what's next, right? We just got to do us just a little bit of that fat wood stuff. So I got my big old hunk of weathered fat wood out here. It's been out here in the weather for at least 2 years or more, which is just one reason I really love me some fat wood. We're going to carve off a few little flakes of this to help, because I love me some fat wood, plain and simple. Alrighty, so next, you know where we're going. Doesn't feel like it's got a really sharp spine, but we're going to give it a shot, just because I got to. So let's see what we can get. Okay, well, actually pretty daggum decent. So okay, I'm here at the pretty much abandoned playset with the SCH510, and I've got a slot here. I'll put it all the way in, so let's see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this for a step and put my weight on it, and just see. Now I have to hold myself up for balance, but I'm not going to be putting any weight on my hand. I'm going to try to put all my weight on the knife. Okay, I'm trying, I really am. You can see it's actually cut down into the wood. Okie dokie. Well, I gotta say I was really surprised by that. I did the initial standing test, I guess, and it held up just fine. Actually, had cut down into the wood a pretty good bit, and then I went just to get a close up, stood on it, and I think I don't know how much force I put on it because I was standing up on it, kind of wobbling around, moving. So I don't know about the physics of it, but it was a good bit of force anyway. I weigh like 170, and then as you move up and down, I don't know what the math is on the force there, but it all of a sudden the lock just gave way. And I've noticed that if you can see this, you can kind of see on the inside there. What happens is when you activate the lock, you see it moves the back strap, the back spring, or whatever you want to call it. And then it's got this notch right here that looks like it might have had some damage just now, and basically it just engages, and I guess there's a corresponding notch on the back strap. So I did that, but then I noticed after I did that, and I was banging on this thing pretty good before, I noticed if I hold it now and I hit it like this, it won't close. Okay, I mean, you can see that I'm beating the dadgum heck out of it trying. Okay, you with me there? You see that, right? I am absolutely hitting it, okay? So, but, I'll show you something else. So I did notice though, I put it down here and hit it, I can break it down almost every time. Because there's nothing to absorb that force. I think when I'm holding it, the recoil so in my hand kind of absorbs some of the force, so it takes a lot more to whack it. And I think as I'm going with it, I've done this a pretty good bit now. Maybe it's getting a little weaker, but actually still pretty stinking good. So, hey, you know what? I am not a mind reader or anything like that, but I think there's maybe a pretty good chance that I might know just what you're thinking, that since it's already beat all to pieces and I've already abused it beyond what a normal folding knife should have to deal with, why don't I check the balance? You know, I asked myself the same question just a second ago. So let me give you my final thoughts on this whole scenario. We're going to wrap this thing up. So first of all, the knife performed the knife stuff really well. I think the lock held up really well to the first abuse test there, and that, in my opinion, was an extreme abuse test, and it did fail on the second abuse test. The lock itself failed. I'm kind of gray when you call stuff fail, okay? I'll say it failed, but not under normal use. It failed under what I would consider an extreme use. Look, anything will fail. One of the testing protocols a lot of people use is testing the failures. So there is a point at which this lock will fail. I don't know if it's ever going to fail under normal use. I can tell you I would have no hesitation to use this knife normally. At the end of the day, here's how I'm going to leave this. At the risk of being accused of being a sellout or biased or a Schrade fanboy or Schrade shield or whatever the case may be, I'm going to say that in my opinion, what I did was extreme testing, and without a doubt, it failed the final extreme test. So we saw at what point it will fail, and for this knife that I have, this particular model, the point at which it would fail is when you're climbing on it, using it for a climbing rung. You know, you make your own decision about that. I think it definitely did the knife stuff really well. I like the lock. I like the fact that it's smooth. I'm kind of bummed out that I kind of screwed this one up because it doesn't feel quite as smooth anymore because from all the abuse I did to it. But it still opens up pretty good, but I can hear just a little bit of difference in there. So I think I might have chipped that edge or something in there on the notches. But in my opinion, it probably, if I hadn't done that, this knife would be completely solid and would have no problems, and we'd be able to use it for regular knife stuff all day long, every day without any issues. I mean, it's a saber grind. But that being said, the lock did fail at some point, as they all will. So I guess if you're considering buying this knife, then you'd have to make the decision as to whether or not you think that it performed adequately for your needs. And I'm not going to try to tell you what that is. Again, I think it's a pretty cool knife. I think it is extremely slick, and I wish the daggum lock had not broken. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful. Once again, thanks to the folks at Schrade and BTI for sending me this so I could abuse it. And as always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a brand new video every Friday and Saturday, and very often random videos throughout the week. You can check out a new one by clicking right here. And if you're not subscribed, please click down in the corner and do that. I really appreciate it. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident. So be prepared. I'll see you next time.